so get ready for this deep dive. We're looking into the philosophy of this this woman, Mariah. She's a homesteader, but, and this is where it gets interesting, she also has these like really strong opinions about how to be successful and all about spirituality and it even gets into the afterlife.
Wow, okay. Homesteading A&D, the afterlife, that's not something you hear every day. So where'd you find this information?
So it's actually from a video she made. It's on YouTube. It's called The First Step to Success Part 2, and it's on her channel, Myersky Homestead 47, I think it is.
Okay.
And she's all over social media, too, if you want to check her out. Like her TikTok is Mariah Sky Homestead. And then she's on Etsy as Our Homestead. And YouTube, too, under Spiritual 6259 or Muchin.
Wow, she's really putting herself out there. I guess she really believes in this stuff, huh? So what's the main idea behind like all of it?
So basically, she's all about living your life according to like a divine plan.
Okay, a divine plan.
But here's the thing, and this is going to sound a little, maybe a little out there to some people, but a big part of her philosophy, like a huge E part, is no sex before marriage. Like, she really believes that is the foundations for success in this life, A&D, in what she calls eternal life.
Oh, wow. That's pretty interesting. You know, it makes you think about how different cultures and religions have all these different ideas about premarital sex, you know? Like, for some people, it's completely taboo, but for others, it's like a rite of passage almost. I guess it really just depends on your background.
Yeah, for sure. And she believes that, like any sins you've committed, especially any that have to do with sex, leave you with this demonic energy.
Demonic energy, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. You know, a lot of people feel weighed down by guilt and regret, no matter how they describe it.
Right, exactly.
The feeling of carrying the past with you.
And she has all these ways to get rid of it.
Oh, really? Like what?
So she's big on prayer and meditation, also fasting, and even being really careful about the foods you eat.
It's funny because those are things that a lot of people do, even if they're not like super religious. You know what I mean? Like meditation is great for stress.
Yeah.
And fasting can actually be pretty healthy too. So it's interesting how those things, how they can be both spiritual and like part of a wellness routine, I guess.
Yeah. And another thing that's really important to her is finding a partner who believes all the same stuff. Especially when it comes to that no sex before marriage rule. Right.
Makes sense. I mean, you always hear about how important it is to have shared values in a relationship, you know? Yeah. To be on the same page, working toward the same goals.
Okay. Are you ready for this? Because now we're getting into the whole eternal life part.
Oh, boy. Here we go. All right. I'm ready. What's her take on it?
Okay. So for her, eternal life has two sides to it, right? There's the spiritual side and the practical side. And on the spiritual side, it's all about recognizing this higher power, which she calls Yah, and living your life according to its rules, which, of course, includes no sex before marriage.
Right, right.
But then there's this whole other side, this practical side, which I think is even more interesting.
Okay, so what is that? Like, what does that look like?
Okay, so this is where she really gets into the whole generational wealth thing. She's talking about education and learning all these valuable skills and investing your money wisely and even owning property. So it's all about creating this legacy that lasts way beyond your own life.
A legacy. It's interesting, you know, because I think that's something that a lot of people think about, whether they realize it or not. We all want to leave something behind, right?
Really?
Whether it's money or knowledge or just like the values that we believe in.
Right.
And passing something on to future generations.
And she believes that that's all part of achieving eternal life.
Wow. That's a pretty powerful concept.
It is. And what's even more interesting is that she believes that all of this, the divine plan and the lifestyle choices and the whole focus on generational wealth, it all leads to experiencing heaven on earth. Heaven on earth.
Now that's something people have been talking about forever, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's this idea that you can find true peace and happiness right here, right now, if you live the right way.
And for her, that means living by these principles.
That makes you think, you know, about like, what does it really mean to live a good life?
Yeah, it does.
What are we all really searching for?
It's a really good question, and it's important to remember that that this wasn't always her reality. Before she dedicated her life to Yah and all of this, she was actually going through some really, really dark times. She talked about having depression, and even suicidal thoughts.
Wow, that's really heavy stuff. It just goes to show that that the search for meaning and purpose can be a really difficult journey.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's always hope too, right?
That's the thing, right? Like her story shows that. Even if you're going through something really tough,
Yeah.
you can still find something that gives your life meaning.
Right. And that can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how finding that purpose can lead to like real transformation.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So I'm curious, for you, like, what are some of the things that have brought meaning and purpose to your life? You know, like,
Yeah.
what are some of the practices or beliefs that have helped you?
You know, that's a good question. And I think I need a little bit more time to think about it before I really dive into a personal answer.
Yeah, no worries.
There's a lot to process with Mariah's story already.
I hear that. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
For now, let's maybe dig a little deeper into some of the more thought-provoking parts of her philosophy.
Yeah, sounds good to me. There's definitely a lot there to unpack. So, listening to all this, I keep coming back to this idea of generational wealth. Like, it's interesting how she makes that a path to eternal life, connecting success in the material world to a kind of spiritual success.
Yeah.
Even after you're gone.
It's definitely different. It makes you think about what generational wealth even means in this, like in this context. Is it just, having a ton of money to pass down, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the most basic level, sure, it's about like financial security, creating opportunities for your kids and grandkids. But I think what she's getting at is deeper. It's also about passing down knowledge and values, like work ethic,
right?
Giving the next generation the tools to succeed, not just with money, but in all parts of life.
So it's not just the actual money, but it's also about what it what it represents, all the hard work, all of the sacrifices,
right?
The values that went into building that wealth.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting, because if it's about more than just money, maybe eternal life is also about more than just what happens after you die. Maybe it's also about the impact you make on the world, how your actions keep rippling outward even after you're gone.
Yeah, okay, I like that. So it's like, instead of just trying to get into heaven, it's about building a kind of heaven on earth for future generations.
Exactly. And that goes back to what she was saying about experiencing heaven on earth. Like right now in this life, if you live according to this divine plan and build something that outlasts you, you create this kind of legacy that keeps doing good even after you're gone.
Yeah, I see how all the pieces fit together. But I got to say, all this focus on generational wealth, it raises some questions for me. Like, what about people who don't come from wealthy families? Does that mean they have less of a chance at achieving this eternal life?
That's a really good point. And it's something that that a lot of people struggle with, if success, both in this life and the next, is tied to generational wealth. What does that say about people who start out with less? Does it mean the system is rigged against them?
Right. And it makes you wonder about the downsides of focusing so much on money. What about compassion and generosity, social responsibility? Are those just less important?
It's definitely something to think about. I mean, there is a risk that generational wealth could become an exclusive club, something that just keeps the same inequalities going instead of actually creating opportunities for everyone, which is why I think her emphasis on using that wealth for good is so important. It can't just be about hoarding resources. It has to be about uplifting others and making a positive impact.
Like that whole, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think that's really key here. Generational wealth, the way she describes it. It shouldn't be about creating these dynasties of privilege. It should be about empowering people to make the world a better place. Okay,
so we've talked about the spiritual side and the practical side of eternal life. But what about the personal side? I mean, she talks a lot about finding peace and happiness by, following this divine plan. But she also she talked about those really dark times she went through before, the depression, the suicidal thoughts. That must have been really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think her being so open about those experiences makes everything she says more real, It shows that this isn't just some abstract philosophy for her. This is something she really believes in because she's lived through the alternative.
Right.
And it shows how powerful it can be to find meaning and purpose.
Yeah, even when life is throwing everything it can at you.
And it sounds like she's saying that true peace and happiness come from living a life that lines up with your values, your beliefs, whatever those may be.
It's about being
That's authentic, right?
feeling like you're on the right path,
Yeah.
even when things get tough.
Exactly. And that can be a huge source of strength and well-being.
It's a reminder that everyone's journey is different, Yeah. And for some people, it's a lot more challenging than for others.
For sure.
But her story also shows that it can lead to, real transformation and healing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like no matter how dark things get, there's always hope.
Totally.
It kind of brings us back to that question you asked earlier about what brings meaning and purpose to our lives.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? I think I'm ready to share a few thoughts on that now.
Oh, cool. I'd love to hear them.
Okay, so for me, meaning and purpose, it comes from a few different places, I think. One is that feeling of connection to other people, to nature, to something bigger than myself. And another is learning and trying to understand things. And then finally, it's about making a difference, even if it's just in a small way.
I love that. I think it speaks to how different we all are, What brings meaning to one person might be totally different for someone else.
For sure.
But in the end, I think we're all searching for that same feeling of connection, that feeling of belonging, and knowing that our lives actually matter.
Yeah.
They have a purpose.
Now, I'm curious. You said you needed some time to think about that question. Have Mariah's insights, giving you any new perspectives?
They have. Hearing her talk about the impact she wants to make, about building something that lasts, It's got me thinking about my own legacy. And it's not about, money or possessions, really, but more about the knowledge and experiences I can share.
That's beautiful. It's like planting seeds that'll keep growing even after you're gone.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that we all have the power to leave the world a little bit better than we found it.
So true. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from Mariah's ideas about success and spirituality and eternal life, to generational wealth and using your resources to help others. And we even talked about that universal need for meaning and purpose.
It's been a really interesting conversation. I've definitely learned a lot.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners have as well. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with one last thought.
Oh, okay. I like a good cliffhanger. What is it?
Imagine, if you could sum up the essence of a life well lived in just one word, what would it be?
Wow. That's a really powerful question. It really makes you think. And I think I have my answer.
Ooh, that look in your eye tells me you've got it. But before you share, I want to know what our listeners think. If you had to sum up a life well lived in just one word, what would it be? Put it down in the comments, because this is something I want to hear from everyone.
I like that. Getting everyone involved. Yeah, it's a really good question. I bet we'll see some really interesting answers.
For sure. Okay, but back to you. What's the word? Okay, so the word that comes to mind for me is impact.
Impact. That's a good one. Why does that word resonate with you so much?
Well, because I think it gets at how our actions ripple outwards, the way we affect other people's lives, even if we don't, even if we don't realize it. A life well lived is a life that leaves a positive impact, whether it's through our relationships or our work, or even just through random acts of kindness.
It's not just about what we do for ourselves, it's about how we contribute to something bigger.
Exactly. And I think that connects back to what we were talking about with Mariah and her philosophy, building generational wealth, leaving a legacy. It's all about creating a positive impact that lasts.
And even if you don't believe in an afterlife or anything like that, that idea of making a positive impact, it's still pretty motivating, right?
Absolutely. It gives us something to strive for, a sense of purpose.
Totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Mariah's world, it seems like we've uncovered some pretty universal truths about being human, that need for connection and purpose and to leave the world better than you found it.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a really interesting journey. And I think even if you don't agree with everything Mariah says, it's a good reminder to think about our own values, and what we really want to contribute to the world.
I couldn't agree more. So to all our listeners out there, keep searching for what gives your life meaning and keep striving to make a difference, and keep diving deep into the things that spark your curiosity.
Yeah, you never know what it might discover.
Exactly. So that's all the time we have for today. Until next time.
See ya.